to develop a fault model, that is a important fault model should be such a way that it should take less simulation time, computationally efficient, right? So these are the target for any goal of any testing and verification engine. Right? So at the last of the last lecture, we have reached up to this point. Right? So goal is to develop a efficient test pattern, right? And to develop a fault model, it should be uh, computationally efficient fault model, and must be an accurate reflection of the defects, physical defect. So these are the goal of any testing and verification engine. So fault model, we already gone through a fault model, a single stucket fault and the multiple fault model. In a single stucket fault, it required a total number of faults in any logic circuit. It is a k into n, and in a multiple stucket fault, it's a fault model. So as we already gone through this fault model. Now let's take one example, right? So in this example, you can see. Let me find how many total number of single fault can we have in this digital logic design. So we can say here the fault type are two, right? Is either a stuck at 0 fault or stuck at 1 fault, and the number of site are equal to 9 in this. So total number of single stuck at fault, it is equal to 80. Possibility total single stuck at fault possibility in this design are 80, right? And let me list out the all the fault, and let me list out the all the possible combination of primary input, and then we'll see which primary input can detect the which fault. So here first this line A, so line A here two fault is possible. One is stuck at 0, another is stuck at 1 on the line A, right? So here it is list out a stuck at 0 on line A and the stuck at 1 on line A, right? And Y, which is the fault free output. This is a fault free output, right? And this is in this row, it is a output when stuck at 0 fault present on the line A. So this is for second. Similarly on the line B, stuck at 0 and stuck at 1. Similarly on line C, D, E, F, G, H and I. So total there are 18 number of single stuck at fault present in this digital logic circuit. This logic circuit have 3 input, so possible combination are 8, right? 0, 0, 0 to 1, 1, 1, right? Now let me first find the fault free output. So in a second row, in this row, we'll get the fault free output. So when input are 0, 0, 0, and if there no any fault is present, then what should be the output? So output at that time it will be 0 as per this circuit logic diagram, right? So this is first second column, second row, we are getting output. It is a fault free output. Y column of row of Y, we are getting a fault free output. Third row, which is when stuck at 0 fault on the line A is present, right? And then what the output will get. So this is output will get if we keep the stuck at 0 fault present on the line A, and if we find by output at the different input x1, x2 and x3, right? Then what should be the output will get, that it is written in the third row of this table. So this is output will get when that stuck at 0 volt present on the line A, right? So here we have to mark the output which is different from the fault free output. So in a stuck at 0 row, if you see the first output, it as it is the fault free output. For the second combination also, the output of when stuck at 0 fault is present and fault free output is same, right? So in the last two combination we are getting the when the stuck at 0 fault is present and the fault free output are different. So that is marked with this uh, right. Similarly, let keep the stuck at 1 fault present and find the output. And similarly prepared this table by keeping the 1 fault at a time and find the output of all the 8 possible combinations and mark the different output which is different than the fault free. Right. Is it clear the preparation of the table? Any questions in the preparation of this table, how to prepare it? If I ask in you, if I ask similar questions in mid-sem exam, like prepared a possible number of faults of a half adder and we find out a minimum number of test pattern that required to detect all the faults, right? So we are doing this for this logic circuit, but in exam I will ask you for the another digital logic circuit. So at that time you should able to do it there. So if you have any, if you feel any questions, whenever you feel any questions you feel you are not understood completely, you can ask, right? So after preparation of the table, we have to identify which here some target is given or not, that we have to see, right? So if target is given like that, find the stuck at 1 fault on a F line and stuck at 0 fault on a E line, right? So that particular we have to see which combination can detect both the fault simultaneously. So we have to take that combinations, right? So here let's say the F stuck at 1 fault, this line. So in F stuck at 1 fault, uh, first of all we have to see the row in which only one output is different from this fault free output. Like we are, you already gone through tabulation method in a logic simulation. So in a tabulation methods, when we are finding the prime implicant, hope you recall it, right? Hope you recall that tabulation methods and the word the prime implicant, right? So prime implicant, to find out a prime implicant, we have to keep the product term which is present in only in a one that functions, right? So that similarly here also, we out of this 18 there are 18 fold 1 2 up to the 18. We have to see the row in which have a minimum for minimum combinations the fault free and the faulty output is different. So in this there are two combination for which the fault free and faulty output is different. In this also two, 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 and here it is one, here also one, here it is two, here it is two, here it is one. This have two, this have the four, this have two, this have the four and four. Right, so this is the list out for which the different number of combination the output of a faulty and fault free are different. So out of that we have to pick up the fault row in which they have a minimum for minimum input combination the faulty and fault free output is different. So this, for these two, if you can see, there are three. One is this, another one is this, and third one is this. So we can say to detect the D stuck at 1, E stuck at 0 and F stuck at 1, there are some unique that test pattern required, right? Because it is detected by only a one test pattern. For the rest of 7 combination, the faulty and fault-free output are same. So we cannot detect using the 7. We can detect only one particular test pattern. Now in that we have to see which combination can detect a maximum out of this F stuck at 1, E stuck at 0 and D stuck at 1. Right. So to detect the D stuck at 1, we require this combination which is 1, 0, 0. To detect the E stuck at 0, we require the combination is 0, 1, 1. And to detect the F stuck at 1, we require the combination is again a 0, 1, 1. Right? So if you keep the 0, 1, 1, it will detect the two fault. One is F stuck at 1 and E stuck at 1, E stuck at 0. Right? And by keeping the 100 it detect the D stuck at 1. Now once we select these combinations, now we have to tick mark the those fault those fault line in which this combination can detect, right? So once we select the 011, you can see 011 can detect this because this output is different. So 011 can detect this. 011 can detect also a B stuck at 0. 011 can detect the E stuck at 0. 011 can detect the F stuck at 1. 011 can detect the G stuck at 1. And 011 can detect the H stuck at 1. 011 can detect the I stuck at 1. So once we select the 011 combinations, 011 combination, it can detect the A stuck at 1, then the B stuck at 0, then the E stuck at 0, right? Then the after the E, F stuck at 1, then the G stuck at 1, then the H stuck at 1, and the I stuck at 1. So you can see this one combination, it detect the 7 different faults. So out of 18, 7 fault can detect using only one combination, which is 0, 1. Now 100 is also essential because to detect the D stuck at 1 we require a 100. So 100 combination is also essential. So let me check the 100 can detect any other fault other than the D stuck at 1, right? So 100 can detect the B stuck at 1. 100 can detect the C stuck at 1. 100 can detect the D stuck at 1. 100 can detect the G stuck at 1, which is already covered. 100 can also detect the H stuck at 1, but is already covered through the 011, and the 100 can detect the I stuck at 1, but is already covered. Right? So new 3 fault can detect through this 100. So out of total 18 fault present, 10 fault can detect using only a 2 combination, not required all 8 combination to apply. If you apply only these 2 combination, then it can detect the 10 fault out of 18. 10 fault out of 18. Up to this is clear. How what the process we had it here. First of all, first process is to from this table to table we have to identify a prime combinations, prime input test pattern. So prime input test pattern means for that test pattern, the fault which can, any fault which can have only for that test pattern, the faulty and fault-free output are different or is different if I have a single, right? So we have to identify that prime test pattern, essential test patterns. Then we have to see if we pick that essential test pattern, then what are the other fault can also detect by the that essential test pattern, right? So we have proceed up to this. We have identified for these two essential test pattern are 011 and 100. So through these two essential test pattern, it can also detect the others fault also. So total 10 faults can detect using these two test pattern. Now we have to see for the remaining fault. Now we have to target to cover the remaining faults. So what are the remaining faults? So remaining fault are the this A stuck at 0 is remaining, C stuck at 0 remaining, D stuck at 0 remaining, E stuck at 1 remaining, F stuck at 0 remaining, G stuck at 0 remaining, H stuck at 0 remaining, and I stuck at 0 remaining. Right? These are the 8 different remaining faults. Now we have to see for which combination out of this remaining remaining 8 fault can maximum remaining 8 fault can detect. So if we pick the which combination which can detect the maximum remaining fault, right? So we have to see for that. So here you can see A stuck at 0 can detect either using 100 or 111. So which should we have to take? 100 we have to take for to apply to detect A stuck at 0 or 111. That we have to decide. So how we can decide it? Right? We have to see what the common which can detect the maximum undetectable faults. So we have to see 100 can detect the how many undetectable fault, and also we have to proceed the 111 how 111 can detect the how many undetectable faults. So we have to do that process, right? So you can see here if we select the 100, it can detect the A stuck at 0 which is undetected, and this D stuck at 0 which is also undetected, and G stuck at 0 is also undetected, and the that I stuck at 0 is also undetected. So it can detect the other 4 faults undetected. Or if you select the 111, then also it detect the same 4 faults, right? For the that undetected faults. So either we can choose 100 or 111, anyone, right? Now after choosing the 100 or 111, it make this is detected, it will make this one is detected, it will make this one is detected, and it will make this one is detected. Now we have to see which are the undetected. So this is undetected H stuck at 0, another undetected fault. Okay. So we have to see which are the undetected faults. So remaining undetected fault is H stuck at 0 is undetected, then F stuck at 0 is undetected, E stuck at 1 is undetected, and C stuck at 0 is undetected. So now undetected are 4. Now in that we have to see which combination can detect maximum undetected faults, right? So again we have to proceed, we have to identify which input combination or which test pattern can detect maximum undetected faults. So that C stuck at 0 can detect using 011, or also it can detect using 101, right? And the E stuck at 1 can detect using 100, or also E stuck at 0 can detect using 101. F stuck at 0 can detect using same pattern 011 or 101. And the last one is that H stuck at 0, it also can detect using the same patterns, right? So we can use either the 011 or 101, right? So number of test pattern required to detect all 18 faults are first is 011, it is essential, another is 100, it is also essential, and out of these two we can use for the detection of either 100 or 111. So we can use, I can write it as a 11x, right? And similarly for this, either we can use the 011 or the 100. Any one of them can detect the remaining 4 undetectable fault. So we can make it x, 0 and 1. So this is the test pattern required. Test pattern required to detect all 18 faults. All 18 faults. Is it clear? The process. Any questions in this process? Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. કાંઈક જવાબ દેતા રહેજો એટલે ખબર પડે. So here Stuckett faults, 4 set of equivalent faults. So if in this from this table, if you want to find out the equivalent faults, we can find this is one set of equivalent faults. A Stuckett 0 can detect using these two combination. B Stuckett 0 also can detect using same combination. G Stuckett 0 also detect using same combination. So we can say this is the one combination. This is a one equivalent combinations. And for the A Stuckett 1, so A Stuckett 1 can detect using these two test pattern, and there is no any others fault can detect using only that two test patterns, right? So this is not. Now here you can see the B Stuckett 0 can have 1 and 0, and we do not have such 1 and 0 in elsewhere. So this is not a unique. And the B Stuckett 1 have 0 and 1, and then we have to see where we have other 0 and 1 now. So this is not a unique. C Stuckett 0, so it's have a 0 and 0. Yes, so this is another that group 0 0, and here also you can see the 0 0, right? So this is, and here also you can see the 0 0, and here also you can see the 0 0. So this is the second group, second equivalent set of group, right? And for the C you can see 1 and 1, and elsewhere we have 1 and 1. No, we do not have it. And then this is already covered, and this 1, elsewhere we have only single ones. No, here ones, elsewhere we have single one. Yes, so this is third group, this as well as this, where have this single one. And then this is already covered. Now yes, you can see here 1 1 1 1. So here this is a fourth group, fourth equivalent fault group, right? So there are in this, out of 18 total fault, 4 groups, 4 set of equivalent faults, 4 set of equivalent faults, right? So by removing that, we can get the collapse fault list. It is 2 into P0 plus F0 plus Gi minus Ni, where P0 is the primary output, F0 is the fan out stem, Gi is the gate inputs, and Ni is the inverter, number of inverter in the design. So if we substitute in this, then two primary output are 1. This is called a primary output, and fan out branch. So here have the fan, you can see we do not, yes, here have the fan out, right? So it's a fan out is 1, fan out is 2, right? And number of gate inputs. So here 1 2 3 4 and 5, there are 5 gate inputs minus the number of inverter 1. So here you can see 3 to 6 plus 1 minus 1, it is equal to that, it is equal to 10. So after removing that equivalent faults, we'll get the total 10 collapse faults out of 18. So 8 can be removed. So which are the 8 can be removed? So here is one is kept as it is, this one can be removed, and this one can be removed, right? Because these three are equivalent, so we can detect the one, remaining is by default it will detect. If from the 2 we can remove these 3. So if you detect these 2, it can detect the others equivalent faults. In a 3 we can remove this, right? So it can detect in 4, we can remove this. So out of 10 we can remove the 8 faults. This one, this is also a group of 4, right? So out of 10 we can remove this 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So total will get the 10 uncollapsed faults. Is it clear how to find the
Hello, sir.
collapsed fault links? It is very easy.
Hello, sir.
Yes, yes.
સર આમાં જી ને એચ પણ ગેટ ઇનપુટ નો કહી શકાય.
G and H is also called a gate input. These are the also a gate inputs. So here primary inputs uh, are the 6 and 7. So 6 plus 12. 10 out branch it is only sorry 10 out branch is 1 then, right? So 2 4 plus 7 minus 1 it is 10. So we'll get the collapsed branch is equal to 10. So this we already gone through it. Fan out branch is 1, primary input, primary output is 1, gate input are 7 and inverter are 1 in the design. Now we'll see the transistor faults. We have seen the one types of fault which is a stuck at 0 and stuck at 1 fault. Right? Now we'll go with the another fault model which is a transistor fault. So in a transistor there are two types of fault occur. One is stuck at short fault and the stuck open fault. So in a transistor two types of fault occur. One is stuck at short fault, also known as stuck short fault, and stuck open, also known as stuck open. So let me have the two input CMOS NOR gate. So this is diagram of a two input CMOS NOR gate. You know very well. Now for this CMOS two input NOR gate, let me do the analysis of a transistor fault model. So here there are fault types K is equal to 2, either the short or open, and the fault site means how many um, transistor are in the circuit. So in this circuit there are 4 transistor, one that one is 2, 3 and 4. So there are 4 transistor. So n is equal to 4. So how many total single fault occurred are the number of transistor multiplied by the number of fault types. So in each transistor either the transistor will be short or transistor will be open. So there are 8 total fault can occur transistor fault modeling in a 2 input CMOS NOR gate circuit diagram. So let's prepare this input table. So first of all the input combination. So that here in this have the two input. So there are 4 input combination and the output is Z, right? So let's find the output first without any fault. So without any fault output is 1 0 0 0. This is a 2 input NOR gate. So when both the input are 0 then output is equal to 1, otherwise output equal to 0. Now let's keep the N1. So this NMOS, third number of MOSFET, stuck open. So let me keep this NMOS as an open MOSFET, right? So once you keep this NMOS as an open, we'll get equivalent circuit is, here it is an VDD. You can see here it is an PMOS. This is another PMOS, right? And this one is open. And here we have the NMOS, right? This is B, A and B, and here it is our output with the fault present in N1 stuck at open fault, right? So let me see what is the output for a different input combinations. So let me give the input combination is 0 and 0. Then this MOSFET are not conducting. B MOSFET is conduct. A is already opened, so it will make, if we give the input B, A and B are 0, 0, then equivalent circuit will form for the 0, the P MOSFET will conduct, and this N MOSFET it is in open circuit, and this is already open. So we'll get these types of equivalent circuit, and it will make the output is equal to, what is output? 1, right? So here it is output is 1, right? Now let's give the input is 0, 1. So input A is equal to 0 and B is equal to 1. So it will make this is open and this is equal to short. So it will make output is equal to 0. So this is output is equal to 0. Now in third combination, when 1 and 0, right? 1 and 0. So A will be open, B is short, and here that B is open and A is already open, right? So what will be the output? So output is holding the last state. Output is holding the last state. So it is similar like, let me have another black screen. So when our input A and B is equal to 1, 0, it will make the equivalent circuit is A is 1, so P MOSFET is off, and B is 0, so P MOSFET is on. Here the B is 0, so N MOSFET is off, and A is already stuck at open faults, right? Stuck at open faults. So if we give the AB is equal to 1, 0, it forms this circuit. So here whatever it is that stored in a last logic level across this load capacitor, it is maintained that logic, right? So this load capacitor will not going to discharge or not going to pull up through the VDD, also it not going to discharge through a pull down path, right? So it is a maintaining the last state. So here we'll get output is the last state of Z. So if previously Z, suppose it was 0, then it is holding the 0. If the previous state, suppose Z is equal to 1, it will hold the 1, right? Now suppose if you give the A and B are the 1 and 1, then what should be the equivalent circuit when the N1 transistor have the stuck open fault? So 1 and 1, so both the PMOS are in open, NMOS are in short, but this A MOSFET it is in open. So here we'll get output. So due to this short, right? So whatever the voltage across this load capacitor will discharge through this. So we'll get output is equal to 0, right? So in this case, 1, 0 we are getting the last state, and for 1, 1 we'll get output is equal to 0. Similarly, let's keep the N1 short instead of open. If we keep the N1 is short, then let's see what output will get, right? So let me keep the N1 is equal to short, right? So N1 as at short, that means equivalent circuit is by keeping the N1 short. Here it is an P MOSFET, input is A. Here it is PMOS, another P MOSFET, input is B, and this is short due to the fault, and here it is an B. This is a circuit. Now let's give the input is A, B is equal to 0, 0. So when A is equal to 0, it will make the P MOSFET, it is into conducting. B is 0, so it's also make the B P MOSFET into the conducting. This is already a sorted, and this N MOSFET, B MOSFET, it is in open circuit due to the input is 0. So this is equivalent circuit, right? So what will be the output? Here it is our load, right? So what will be the output voltage? So this is sorting, means not exactly sorting, it's have some R1 resistance of P MOSFET, right? In a conducting stage, it is equivalent resistance. Here have the sorting, so it's also has some resistance, right? So what output voltage will get? It is as per the IDDQ, means that according the potential divider will get some output voltage. So it is called a IDDQ, output voltage, right? So here will not get exactly a logic 1, logic 0. It is as per the potential divider and as per the R1 resistance and the current flow through that, that decide the output voltage. So that's why here it is written the IDDQ, right? So what is the that current will decide the voltage. Similarly, N2 when stuck at open, we will get here it is last state. When stuck at short, it will be the IDDQ. P1 stuck at open. So similarly, you can prepare the table, right? Any questions in this in table? So in a transistor faults, stuck short faults cause conducting path from VDD to VSS can be detected by monitoring the steady state power supply current, right? So if there any stuck short fault and if provide the VDD is connect with the ground in a CMOS inverter for any static input, right, then we can detect that fault, because we know in any CMOS input when input is constant there should not be any current flow from VDD to ground, because either the pull up or the pull down device have the open circuit, right, because it is a complementary nature of the MOSFET, P MOSFET and N MOSFET. So for any input combination, either the pull up network or the pull down network is offer a infinite resistance. It is an equivalent circuit, it is open circuit. So this VDD never get the direct ground path. That's why it's in a CMOS have a power dissipation is tends to be 0, right? So if there any fault is present, so in previously we have seen due to the short circuit of the P MOSFET and input are 0, it will make a equivalent circuit like this, right? And in this equivalent circuit, our input A and B is constant 0, then also it's have the power dissipations. Then also it's have some power dissipations, and we know in a CMOS circuit there should not be any power dissipations. And if there in power dissipation, that means that some fault is there in the design, sorting faults there in the design and can be detected, right? Through giving the different input combinations we can detect that fault. So that sort fault can detect if give the input 1 and 1, whatever the fault present in stuck sort, that can be detected through these combinations, right? Now how can detect the open faults? So stuck open fault cause the output node to store the last voltage value. Stuck open fault which force to output to hold the last value. So here we have seen when we give the 1 0 and when the N1 stuck open, then it is holding the last state. So by detecting that it is holding the last state or not, that can be detect that such open fault can detect using this process. So it required a sequence of two vectors to detection of a transistor open fault, right? So if we give the first is 0 0 and then the 1 0 when N1 stuck open, so first we give this 0 0 pattern and directly then if we give the 1 0, so in 0 0 our output is 1, right? And when we give the 1 0, it holding the 1 if the fault present in this N1 as a stuck open fault. If the fault is not there, then its output should be 0. So this is the difference. In this case, we'll get the difference in the faulty and fault-free output. If we applied the sequence like that, first is 0 0 and then the 0 1. So to detect the open fault, stuck open fault, need to give the sequence of two vectors. It cannot be detected by applying a single vector like in a stuck short fault, right? So to detect a stuck open fault in any CMOS circuit, need to apply a sequence of two test vector because it holding the last voltage level. So we have to apply the sequence of input such a way that we want next for the next sequence we want the output should be the different compared to the last state. So here if we apply the 0 0, our output is should be 1, and n1 stuck at 1 volt also giving output is equal to 1, right? And once we applied from 0 0 to 1 0, and we are expecting without the fault output should be 0, but due to the fault present in n1 stuck open fault, it the hold the previous state. So previous state is 1, so it is holding the 1, which make the faulty and fault free output is different, and through this we can detect the stuck open fault present in the transistor. Is it clear how to detect what are the types of fault in a transistor circuit, right? Either the transistor short or transistor open, and how to detect the stuck short fault, and how to detect the stuck open fault in a transistor. Any questions in this? Any questions in this? Okay. Let me okay, now tell me what should be the sequence to detect the P2 stuck open fault. Give me the sequence to detect P2 stuck open fault. How you will detect the P2 transistor stuck open fault? What should be your test pattern input? Is it can detect using a single test pattern or need a sequence of test pattern, and how you will detect it? Can anyone tell me? What is the test pattern required to detect the transistor P2 stuck open fault? Are you getting the questions? Yes, anyone?
Zero zero.
No, not directly 0 0 can detect the P2 stuck open fault. So to detect the P2 stuck open fault, uh, first of all, we have to give the input test pattern that can have the output is 0, right? Output is 0 because P2 stuck at fault when input is 0 0, it holding the last state, right? And when input is 0 0, correct output is 1. Input is 0 0, correct output is 1. So we want to make it differentiate the correct fault free output and the faulty output. So how we can make it differentiate? So our last jet should be other than the logic one, so output. So out other than the logic one will get in these three combinations. Either we give the 0 1 1 0 or 1 1. So either from this 0 1 to 0 0, that also can detect, or from 1 0 to 0 0, this is also can detect, P2 stuck open fault or 11200. This sequence is also can detect, right? So either of from 001 to 0010 to 00 or 11 to 00 will detect the fault present in a P2 stuck open fault. Okay. So once we apply the 01, it is have the output is 0, and once we applied after the 01 to 00, it is holding the previous state due to the fault present is P2, but this output is different than the that fault free output, so we can detect it. So we have to make a faulty and fault free output is different to make detect any fault. Is it clear? Is it clear? Any questions? So in a transistor faults, to find out a collapsed fault list after removing the redundant fault. So it is equal to 2 times the total number of transistor minus the number of series transistor plus the number of group of series transistors minus the number of parallel transistor plus group of parallel transistors, right? So in this our two input CMOS circuit, total number of transistor are 4, right? And total number of series transistor are 2, and the number of group of series transistor, right? There is series transistor group is 1. PMOS are in series, so this is one group, right? Total number of parallel transistor are 2, right? Both the NMOS are in parallel, so 2 transistor are connected in parallel. Number of group of parallel transistors, so only one group, which is the 2 NMOS are in parallel, so this is one group. And from this, if we can calculate the collapsed fault list, so 2 multiplied by 4 minus 2 plus 2, that plus 1 minus 2 plus 1. So that is total is equal to 6. So total after the removing the redundant fault, will get the collapsed fault list of 2 input CMOS logic circuit transistor fault list are the 6, right? So any questions in this? How to calculate the collapsed fault in a transistor fault model for any transistorized circuit? If I give any transistorized circuit, can you able to calculate collapsed fault list? Is it clear? Any questions? So now next type is short and open faults, right? So wire can be another types of modeling is that wire short or wire may be open, and due to that it create a open or short types of faults. So open types of faults, so open in wire interconnecting transistor to form a gates behave like a transistor stuck open faults, and opens in wire interconnecting gates to form a circuit behave like a stuck at faults. Opens are detected by vector detecting the transistor and stuck-at faults. So in open in any wiring, that type of fault can detect using the vectors that can detect the transistor or faults or the stuck-at faults. That also can detect the faults of the wire short or open. So due to this wire open, it may create a behave like a stuck-at fault or a transistor open faults. So short to an adjacent wire, also known as the bridging faults. So shorting of the two that signaling wire, it created different bridging faults. So let's have the example of here. So here if we can short this transistor, suppose short this wire, it create the fault similar to the sorting of transistor. So sorting fault, this is the sorting fault in wire is similar to sorting sort fault of transistor E. Is it clear? And this open fault here, let's say if we this open, by creating this open fault, it change the that truth table, so it creating open faults, and the sorting of these two, it's also change this truth table, so it can detect, or opening in this, it is creating the open of these transistors, it create the open fault of this transistor. So any open fault and that in a transistor can create a or a short fault in a transistor can create a fault in a transistor types fault, or a stuck at types of fault. There are different bridging faults. Bridging means when two wire, this is you can see here, the two wire, one is A conducting wire, it's short with the B conducting wire. So it form, there are different bridging fault, either the wire and or faults. So that can be bridged. This logic, it created these types of, this bridging is created these types of logic. So here we'll get the AD, it is equal to the ending of the AS into BS, and BD is also will get the ending of AS and BS. So it is a wire end bridging fault, wire end bridging fault. Now here you can see, by sorting the wire may create the wire or bridging fault. In this case, output AD will get the o-ring of AS and BS, and BD is also a o-ring of AS and BS. So it create a wire OR fault. There have some dominant faults. So here there are two types of dominant, A dominant B or B dominants A. So A dominance B means whatever is A, it transfer to both the destination, A line as well as B line, right? Because the signal strength of A, it is higher than the signal strength of B, so A is dominant on B, and whatever the logic of A is, it is transferred to both AD and the BD. So it is called A dominant B. And B dominant A, suppose the strength of the signal B, line B, it is higher than the A, then it is dominant on the A, and in output, in both the line of output will get the BS logic. So it is called a B dominance A. Also it form a dominant with the logic, like A dominant and B, right? So A is dominant, but output of that is do the ending of A and B, and for to line the BD, right? And A dominant or B, so it perform the A is as it is, but the destination B, it is o-ring of AS and BS. And B dominant and A, so B is dominant on A with the ending effect of A, and that is similarly the B dominant or A, right? So due to the sorting of two conducting wire, two signaling wire, it can form a different types of bridging faults, either the wire end or bridging fault, or a two types of dominant faults, or a four types of dominant logic faults. Okay, so these are the different types of modeling of the bridging fault, either the wire end fault model, wire or fault model, A dominant B, B dominant A dominant and B, B dominant and A dominant or, and B dominant or. And that can be detectable by IDDQ testing. So different bridging fault can detect through the IDDQ test. Okay, so let me keep up to this in this lecture. If you have any doubt, you can ask. So today we have covered different types of the fault model, starting with the Stuckett fault in any logic diagram, and how to find a test pattern, how to find the collapsed fault list. Then we have seen the different types of transistor faults, transistor short fault, transistor open fault, and how to detect the transistor short types of fault, and how to detect the transistor open types of fault, and how to calculate the collapse the fault list in a transistor fault types. And then we have seen the short and open faults, and at the last the bridging faults, and what are the different types of bridging fault can create. Okay, is it clear? Any questions so far?
Hello, sir.